what is the difference between judging one another and bringing up the sins of someone to correct them?
Okay. Now,
That's
whenever
Matthew 7
Mhm.
and Genesis 6.
Right. So you're asking the difference between judging someone and correcting someone of their sins?
Yes.
Okay. So whenever the Bible says, do not judge as you shall be judged, as such like that, or to not judge someone, it's referring to judgment as in when you go to meet God on Judgment Day, whenever you die and you go to heaven to where God judges, deciding where you go, whether it be heaven or hell, which that is the another analogy in Matthew where it talks about the goats and the rams, that the goats, or no, is the sheep and the goats, I think. I forget the specific animals. I'm gonna have to go back and look at it, but there's
sheep and the goats.
He talks about, okay, so goats and rams.
Huh.
Well, is it? That's what I'm.
Yeah, a ram is a male goat.
Okay, so the ram. So he basically talks about rams and goats and such, and talks about that one of them will enter into heaven, and then the other is casted into the lake of fire. So, and another verse it talks about, and another verse it talks about that they're judged based on that he will judge you based on your deeds, but it only does that though for those who are, of course, unsaved and such, because then if they don't have Christ's atonement on them and they don't believe, well, at that point they're relying on their works to save them. Okay, let's see how that happens for you. Let's see how that works when you're sinning against God, and then all those deeds are then tallied up against you and shown to you, and such. So it's basically saying that God then is making the judgment, the declaration of, do you go to heaven or hell? So we aren't to make the judgment of, are you going for certainty to heaven or hell? We don't know where the person ends up, and we can't make that claim. So whenever someone says you are going to hell, that is judging someone in the way that you shouldn't. Now you can say that if this path will lead you to hell, or that says that these people will not inherit the kingdom, and as what we see in 1 Corinthians 6 verses 9 through 10, and Galatians chapter 5 verses 19 to 21. I mean, it says that, but it only says that if you are on that path and living in this unrepentant lifestyle, this will happen. But of course, 1 Corinthians 6 verse 11 says that, but thus were sorry about that. But this was some of you. But now you are washed, you are sanctified, you are transformed, and the blood of Christ cleanses you. So it talks about the difference here, that the fact that then the issue of the verses of the Bible then talk about rebuking someone. That's not necessarily judging in the way that it's talking about in Matthew 7. But the Bible says to judge with a righteous judgment. The Bible does command believers today, judge righteously. To judge righteously means to point out sin and such, but it doesn't mean tell someone that you're going to hell or heaven or making them judgments. That's what Matthew 7 is talking about. That says, do not judge.
RCA is self-righteous.
Can you stop doing that?
Doing what?
Interrupting?
Sorry, I do that.
All right. Well, I mean, I was trying to answer the question.
Oh,
right.
I didn't know you were in the middle of answering the question. Oh, you're just rambling.
No, that's the thing. My answers are always going to go into the Bible and such. So I don't just simply say yes or no. I'm trying to also give out the evidence and such as to why I'm saying this. Because it's important to make these distinctions, because otherwise this is actually where atheists try to say this is a contradiction. The Bible says, do not judge. The Bible also says, judge righteously. Therefore, the atheist says, yeah, Bible refuted, contradiction. But no, we have to understand the context that's in reference to these verses. And so that's why we go into what it means from that particular Greek word that is used for judge, as well as the various other passages that deal with it. And then look at the other parts where we're seeing to judge righteously, and to show in that context how we are to judge righteously. And in this case, it's to point out sin but we can do so without saying this person is going to hell and such. We're judging righteously, and we're able to judge without breaking Matthew chapter 7, because we're doing the righteous judgment, not the judgment that we're basically trying to say, I'm God. So that's the difference. And so I hope that helps you out there, Snow.
Yeah.